Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, maybe. Let's wait a couple of more minutes so others can join, and then we start with it pretty much soon. Okay, everyone, welcome again. Let me introduce the session today. So we are going to talk about a $1 million opportunity that you can achieve together with us, together with Versasec and Thales. And today we are going to show you where do we see this opportunity and what kind of technology we can provide on this market that can help such kind of opportunity to be achieved. Today we have three presenters for you. My name is Zoltan. I'm working for Thales as a cybersecurity solution manager. But today here I have Paul with me from Versasec. He is also a security expert on his area, so he will help you to understand what Versasec can provide on this market. And we have here Rudy, who will show you a very exciting simulation, how we can get the protection against an attack on this area. If we go to the agenda slide, you will see the idea that we put together. So there will be a quick introduction, no more than 1 or 2 minutes, just for you to understand what is Thales, what is Versasec. And then we will jump into the exciting story, why we see that passwordless multi-factor authentication is taking over the official or the original authentication methods, and how we see what kind of solutions we see around this topic. You will see some use cases, but at the same time, as I mentioned, you will see some demonstration as well that will help you to understand how we need to give a protection on this area. And at the end, of course, there will be some information for you for the next steps, and then you will have at the end approximately 10-15 minutes question and answer session as well. So keep your questions ready, and then you will be able to ask them at the very end. In regards with Thales, as you can see on the screen, Thales is a very robust and stable and enormous company, more than 80,000 employees around the globe, all working and all providing some sort of security solutions. So Thales is a security solution company starting from the aerospace or the space, but since Gemalto joined Thales a couple of years ago, we are very strong in the cybersecurity, digital security area as well. If we go to the next slide, there you see a summary what the Thales cybersecurity protection provides, starting from the applications where we give to customers application possibility to protect their data. But if we have some data in REST or in Move, we also provide encryption, tokenization, or hardware security modules to protect such. Today, what I'm going to focus on together with Paul and Rudy is how the identities, how the secure data of customers or secure data of employees can be protected, and what kind of fears we see on this market. If we go to the next slide, um, there you will see what Versasec is adding to this story. So I give the floor now to Paul, who will introduce you the company Versasec.
Thanks a lot, Zoltan, and thank you very much for having me here. It's always a pleasure to join on an online session with Thales and to meet all the participants online. Warm welcome to everybody who's joined for this session. Yes, we are a Swedish-based firm founded in 2007, and we are a Thales OEM partner, and we focus mainly in managing the digital identity. So whenever you are talking with a new prospect or with an existing customer of Thales, so you're promoting Thales solutions, and when you are talking to them about their tokens, their smart cards, and when there is a question raised about how to manage these credentials or these security keys, then we come into play. So we offer both on-prem and SaaS solutions, which is designed to manage the complete life cycle of these Thales authenticators, be it tokens or smart cards, and it's for organization of all sizes. So our comprehensive system, we call it as VSEC CMS. It covers each and every stage of the lifecycle management of the credential. So it starts from a pre-reg, tokenization, deploying issuance, setting the pins, resets, token provisioning, temporary authentication, revoking the credential, and decommissioning. So all these management tasks is done by a solution, and these complete lifecycle workflows can be initiated either centrally or through self-service, providing maximum flexibility. And the best part is you completely move away from all manual tasks. So it's completely orchestrated and it's fully automated for the end for the IT admins, and then handing over the tokens or the smart cards to the end users for them to authenticate to their machines or to their laptops or any other devices. So our platform, it integrates seamlessly with any third-party systems, user directories, IDPs, HSMs, external databases. So it makes it very compatible, and it also makes it very easy based on the existing infrastructure of the particular customer. So if you see on this slide, we are not like focused on just one sector. We kind of work across all sectors, predominantly with governments. That's where most of the Thales projects we combine with. We work. We have currently working with more than 500 plus customers across 61 countries, and since 2007, we have specialized in managing PKI credentials for some of the world's most security critical organizations. So, with our PSEC CMS solution, customers benefit from a unified platform, very easy UI interface, and it supports both PKI and FIDO2 credential lifecycle management. So all through a very usually interactive credential orchestrated platform. So it gives everything to the fore. So apart from now the introductions being done about both our organizations, we want to take the next couple of slides to actually show where we are. What are the cyber threats that today's markets reflect? And if you see here, it's grown 5 times. Basically, everybody nowadays receives a phishing link, and if the end users, if they basically they go ahead and uh, work on this particular way of being tracked or being clicking a phishing email, then within 1 hour and 12 minutes, that's within 72 minutes, they are exposing all their sensitive information, which is scary. Because if they still do have SIAM and or they do have a threat detection team, it still takes time. Sometimes it takes 24 hours, sometimes it takes 1 month, sometimes it even takes 3 months to actually detect a breach. So this becomes very, very important for us to move to a multi-factor authentication kind of protocol. And if you see the next metric, Microsoft has blocked almost 7,000 password-based identity attacks, which is more
That's it.
than double than last year. And if you see 99% of these attacks are targeted on passwords. So it gives a very clear idea for us that we have to move away from passwords. We have to go passwordless. And this becomes a very important thought process, because now attackers are not just using brute force; they're also using AI framework. So it's methodological, and it's quite fast, and they have very quick assault times. So it's completely important to move away from passwords. And if you see, Microsoft also tracks these unique threat actors. And if you see from over the last 2 years, we don't have the latest numbers, but from 23 to 24, you see that from 300, it's gone to 1,500. So we are living in an ecosystem which is like purely cyber threat faced. And it's no longer just it's just coming from one area. It's like coordinated, consolidated. We are actually seeing that the bad actors can come from any, not just internal but also from external of forces. So it's quite scary when you're working as an organization and trying to protect all the sensitive data. And now I'm going to give the next few slides to Zoltan to say how Thales talks about moving from password to passwordless. Zoltan, to you.
Yes, I fully agree with Paul that this is an area where we see a dramatic change in the technology, and this impacts the attacker's capability and possibility. But on the other side, we also see that this is very difficult from user or from operation perspective. So if you remember, we started long time ago to protect some of our identities with some password, and then how we moved on, we realized that the typical password is password, or it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, which is quite simple or easy to identify, easy to guess. So then people started to, and administrators started to make it complex. And then the complexity was, okay, make some capital letters. So everyone started the password with a capital P. But this was not enough. So then people in the technology world, they started, okay, let's put some extra character or something, not a letter. So the password became password and the one number at the very end. But then special characters were also needed. So let's put some extra character. And then we ended the same password, but with an exclamation mark. So you see that although we added more and more complexity in terms of the password policy, still it's not very complex password. We are still using the same basic password because we are users. We are users and we are annoyed using password, and we are annoyed remember such many passwords around our different systems. I'm pretty sure that most of the audience has at least 10 or even 20 or even maybe more passwords that they are using on a daily or on a weekly basis. So first of all, from customer perspective, it's very difficult to store in your mind so many passwords. And from attacker's perspective, sometimes it's easy to figure out what kind of passwords the users typically use. On the other hand, most of the cases, since we try to remember so many passwords, we try to remember them, but we are human, so we forget. So what's happening in this case, we call the help desk, we call the operators, we call the admin group, and we are trying to fix or give or provide a new password. And most of basically the help desk cases are grouped around this topic. So if we look at this problem from operational, from user perspective, it is also very difficult how the password can be managed. Paul, can you give me the next slide, please? What we see and what we see together with some analysis company, and Gartner helped us with some very great analysis here, that we are moving with the time, we see that the mobile push and the one-time password gives you a very good possibility to provide the necessary level of protection today. But as we move towards tomorrow, we see that more and more some more advanced technology is required. And why we need some more advanced than a one-time password, later Rudy will show you. how we can protect such kind of attacks. Those are even ready and available to attack one-time password. So what we see that PKI on this slide, it is named X.509. So the PKI certification, how can it be used, or the FIDO that I'm going to talk about a little bit more today to you, how this is able to give you the necessary level of protection. This is what Gartner says going to be the future protection instead of one-time password or mobile out of band. On the next slide, you also can see that what Gartner says, that most of the multi-factor authentications in the next few years will move to the FIDO authentication. And why it is important, we can go to the next slides, please. So why we see, and again, why we see is that this is a landscape that is changing, that is moving ahead, and as we are moving to the cloud, more and more vulnerabilities we are adding, and at the same time there are users who wants to adopt to these changes, but adopt on the way they prefer to adopt. So instead of providing them corporate environments and corporate devices, they prefer to use their own comfort zone. And to match this, to provide a good level of possibilities on the widely used cloud environment, you need some sort of technology that is able to. Paul, maybe you have anything to add to this slide?
Yeah, I want to just add that Thales has been really wonderful and have been really helping a lot of organizations, depending upon the landscape, the requirement, whatever be the use cases. We have seen in multiple projects how Thales teams move forward very closely, and they start early from the early discovery stage, and even post sales, they are helping the customer. So we really like working with these kind of projects, particularly with Thales team. And we see that, as you rightly mentioned, Zoltan, it's apt for the right technology now. Either you have to go with certificate-based authentication or with FIDO2 authentication, because this is the immediate need at the moment. So I'm fully with you on that.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. If we move ahead, what we see, what we provide in terms of technology that both Paul and me mentioned, one group of protectors are the smart cards you can see on the slide, which is, it looks like a bank card, or it looks like a chip-based card. The smart card gives you a good level of protection to protect authenticate yourself or protect some data that you are accessing or you are working with. The good thing with that it is a plug and play solution, so you just plug into your laptop or to a capable card reader, and then you can use it in different form factor if you wish. So if you don't want to plug in, then you have the contactless or even the hybrid mode where you can switch whichever you want. So independently, if you have access to a card reader, then you can use this in a very simple hygiene way as well. In terms of security, you see that the highest level we provide, and the same goes for the tokens. So here we have USB plug-in devices that you can plug in to your USB-A or USB-C enabled PC. But the good thing that through contactless or through the USB-C connector, this is working very well with your mobile phone as well. It provides the same level of security as smart cards, so this is possible. And then it also has customization options. So if you prefer, you can change the color, you can add your logo, and then you can make it a professional corporate device. If we move to the next slide, please. What we see is that very important that we don't we don't tell the market what the market needs, but what we try to follow is to understand the certain requirements. So what we are providing to you is a security level that is regulated all across the globe. So here you can see some of the most important certifications. Those are required to protect identity and data. And this is what we always add to our supported platforms. On the next slide, you also see that we are not only protecting the logical access, but we are able to give you protection for the physical access. And what does it mean? That if you grab your smart card device, you can use it to log into your PC. Then you can use it to log into your SSO environment. You can sign your email with your personal certification. But you also can use the same device if you are entering to a high secure area to open the physical door. And here on this slide, you can see the most important vendors on this field who can give that access. And as a third level of security, we also can put some badge information on a smart card, a photo, or even some secure printing that helps you to authenticate the employee or the workforce visually. Let's move to the next slide, please. And I would like to introduce you the FIDO. As I mentioned, FIDO is something that the most independent security experts see as the next step or as a future step to protect identity and access. And together with Paul, we agree on that the cooperation, what we do today, is able to give a framework around the FIDO that makes it simple to introduce to a system and also a very good way to manage it. The very important thing that FIDO is not something that one company decided and shared around the world, but it is a consortium, it is an alliance of multiple hundred of companies. And this is the first alliance where the big players, Google, Apple, Microsoft, IBM, made a common shared message that FIDO is the next step of authentication that they believe in. So this is the first time when they expressed this exact same message. And this shows that using this technology is not only something that is obligatory in the near future, but at the same time, it's very secure and very much protected. So we really see that all the different kind of authentication methods that we have today in some certain way will be either replaced or combined with FIDO, because this is something that gives you the necessary level of protection, but at the same time, it is giving you a very convenient way of usage. If you use, for instance, passkey in your mobile phones, this is already FIDO. So maybe you already using FIDO without recognizing it. This is also showing you that introducing FIDO into an environment can be seamless to the customer. The next slide, I would like to talk a little bit more about the FIDO benefits, where we see that this is the way how we can move the customers to a passwordless feeling. Why it is possible, or how it is possible? Because we replace the password with a higher security private key, and this private key is protected by a simple PIN. And you may say, okay, but PIN is also something that you might forget, or you might. But just remember your bank cards. You have multiple bank cards in your wallet. You use it with PIN, or you may enter some certain security door, like the main entrance of the house. If you live in a flat, then you can use some PIN there as well. It's easier to remember, very easy to remember, and it gives you a good protection, because together with FIDO, it is protecting you with a private key. And how is it done? It is very simple protection, because the FIDO is generating the private public key pair inside the device or at the user end, and then stores the private key and sends the public key whoever wants to authenticate this user. So it's very simple, but at the same time, very secure way to use FIDO. And this gives the advantage of it over, for instance, PKI, where you need a robust background, a robust PKI environment, a credential management that centrally manages these kind of certificates. With FIDO, you have similar level of protection, or basically same level of protection, but you don't need this complexity. So that's why FIDO is something that we see for an ordinary usage. It will be very useful. Next slide, please, Paul. Even you can jump to the next part, so I can talk you in one. We have two types of passkeys. One is the synchronized, where you are synchronizing this centrally, and then you can use the same, let's say, synchronized passkey from the cloud on multiple devices. Or the other way is the device-bound. And why device-bound passkey can be very useful, as I mentioned, you can brand it, so you can make it a professional look. And at the same time, you can minimize the usage of certain systems by providing dedicated devices to access those. So what we see today within Thales is that there are two different use cases where FIDO is very useful and widely used. One is the personal use case, where you use for your personal email protection or your personal cloud services protection. Then you can introduce a FIDO or a similar authentication relatively easy and quickly. Or when we move to the enterprise environment, where we need some robust and policy-based authentication and identity access, there we need some sort of professional, dedicated, high-level security device. And this is where we see. Okay, next slide, please. When we are talking about FIDO, we see that there are certain functions that FIDO is providing. And I will not read out loud these slides, but slides will be available for you for later use, so you will be able to dig into the details a little bit more. But we have the FIDO standards that are giving you some sort of framework around the private and public key pair usage. For instance, if you would like to dedicate or register a device, then you need to generate a PIN, and the device, the standard FIDO functionality, can be protected on a certain level of minimum PIN length. Okay, so let's take this as an example. What we see in Thales that sometimes we need to go beyond the standard. So by supporting fully the standard functions, in addition, we also able to give some extra step. And this can be, for instance, if you forget your PIN, rarely happens, but it might happen. Then with the standard FIDO functions, you need to re-register the device for the same service. So if you forget your email PIN with the FIDO device, then you initiate a new registration in your email access, and then you will get a new private public key pair in your device, and then you will generate a new PIN code to protect. With the enterprise solution that we are offering, for instance, you don't need to do that. In an enterprise environment, we can simply replace the PIN without the need of recreation of the certificate. So this is very important to see that we have FIDO functionalities designed for the normal, ordinary use cases, but there are possibilities to go beyond and then give some extra framework for the enterprise usage. Can we go to the next slide, please, Paul? Thank you very much. So what we see here is we have on one way the authenticators that we from Thales can provide. And this can be different form factor. On this slide, you even can see where you don't even need to remember a PIN, because the last device on the right side of the picture is a biometric reader. So you can use your fingerprint to get access to this. So different form factors giving you the highest level of security, and really ready to be integrated into a system. As Paul mentioned, the Versasec is an OEM partner of Thales, so we work closely on multiple projects together, because what we also see that managing such devices one by one is simple. Simple because FIDO decided and designed in a way that it can be simply managed. But if we are talking about a large volume, more than 100 devices in a corporate environment, then you need something more robust that is able to prepare, pre-configure, for instance, the devices for you. And then for the customers, for the employees, basically, it is much easier to finalize the registration because they just need to plug it in. They don't need to do any registration or preparation work because Versasec lifecycle management can take over some of these activities. And with that, let me pass you over to Paul. He will help you in the next 10 or 15 minutes a little bit more understand how Versasec can help you with this solution.
Thanks a lot, Zoltan. So it was perfect. Over the last 10 minutes, we understood that depending on the need of customers, we can propose solutions, different type of Thales authenticators, different type of form factors based on their requirements. And as Zoltan rightly mentioned, I don't need to rephrase whatever Zoltan said, but he gave you a very good gist on why anybody would need a CMS, because our solution offers the most efficient way to orchestrate all these tasks manually. So it could be each and everything. So whether it could be it's matching with a compliance, or someone is now bringing a policy where you need to move towards multi-factor authentication. It should have the trace logs, audits. It should be centralized so that there are workforce which is available on premise, and you also have a remote workforce so that you need to issue all these tokens or smart cards to them. And how do you do all these processes moving away from manual to an automated orchestration? So that can be done by managing the full life cycle of all Thales credentials, by enhancing security, which is first and foremost, and most importantly, streamlining this operation. So once with a CMS, what organization eventually sees is they save a lot of time. They become more efficient. The resources, right? The IT teams, the admins, they eliminate a lot of manual tasks because they reduce the reliance on either working on the tools they've been working on, the software tools, or even if they're working with the third-party vendors. And with this complete automation and additional security benefits, now you can help them understand the reasoning why an organization who's purchasing a lot of tokens or smart cards would need a CMS, so that they can focus on their core business activities. Because we all understand that we have, for each and every 100 employees, we have only one IT admin or one IT employee who's taking care of it. So it becomes very, very cumbersome for them, or and it becomes very difficult. So we need to help them to make them more robust and make them more efficient. So with that, we would be able to do that with our CMS solution. So yes, we do more than just doing issuance. We manage more than that. So yes, one of the key components when we started was how to manage the digital certificates on the device. But now we also have moved on to managing FIDO2 based credentials with Thales. So we offer centralized device management, which means end-to-end systems are secure and are available at any given point of time. We ensure that the information being stored on, and when the tokens or smart cards are passed on to the employees, they are proving it before they access it. So the point which Zoltan was saying about the PIN, which becomes even very important, even if you're planning to use a form factor where you're using your thumb or your bioprint, in case if there are situations where if your bioprint is not working, allowing your fingerprint is not allowing you to enter or to have access to a particular system, then you can still use the PIN to access it. So it always works as a fallback. So with our solution, we manage each and every stage of the Thales tokens based on the requirements of the company policies or requirements of the compliance that needs to be met. Extremely user friendly. As you see here, you just need the IT admins to be able to have their the admin application or the operator application to do the issuance. They can easily plan for the upcoming new employees or the existing employees from the stock management to the from so that they know exactly which tokens or smart cards are going to be issued. If somebody needs to do maintenance such as pin blocks reset, then they can come to the help desk, and when somebody is leaving the organization, you can definitely revoke that particular credential so that it's not going to be misused at a later stage. So fully customizable workflows, each process can be customized based on every requirement. We understand each and every customer is different. They have their own different policies. So we sit here and we go with that. So we do promote both centralized as well as decentralized issuance based on the use cases. We provide flexible options. Our VSEC CMS solution allows centralized deployment with the admin or the operator roles. And decentralized deployment can also be done where the end users can manage their own Thales tokens or smart cards using a self-service application. So we have the admin tool, which streamlines the policy implementation, pin policy configuration, credential card template creation, workflow management, role assignment, and integrations with any third-party connections or with HSMs or even with the CAs or the email server. So based on those requirements, and then you have a filtered role, which we call the agent applications, where operator use, which focuses on daily tasks like help desk support. So you have a team which is helping those who, like, as Zoltan said, somebody who punched in many times the wrong pin and got blocked, or if somebody has forgotten their pin, they need to reset it. So then they can come for pin unblock, certificate renewal, and any type of maintenance. And if you have a remote workforce, then we can also support that, where the tokens or the smart cards from Thales can be shipped to these end users, and then they can manage them efficiently through the self-service application. So we would be able to give this full what do you say, full flexible options to any organization who's using our combined offering. So yes, we work in the organization security core. When we say that, what we mean is we sit with them, we go through the initial early discovery, we understand what is the use cases, what are the type of requirements they need, whether we need to connect with the directories, whether it's Active Directory, LDAP, or even Entra ID, whether they are going to be using certificate-based authentication or FIDO2-based authentication. Even if they need to encrypt certificates, then we do have the provisioning where we have key archival and restore, and most importantly, we also manage FIDO2 devices from Thales. So we extend the management. So we connect with the various IDPs, which includes STAR, and we would be able to manage these FIDO2 tokens and smart cards very efficiently. So with our VSEC CMS solution, we provide clear visibility to all the tokens or smart cards along with the status, with very simple and controlled onboarding. So we adapt to the use cases, to the requirements, whether it's going to be an air gap environment or if it's going to be a hybrid environment, or if somebody's using Entride, we understand the unique requirement, providing flexibility, and then we go with the deployment. So whether on-prem or SaaS solution, we offer both, and we also have key features, which Zoltan was saying, in case if there's a requirement for physical and logical access, then we have an RFID interface management, card printing, or batch processing, so that you can pull the details from the directory and you can print it based on the requirement of your policies. And then we also have audit logs, and we also support OIDC for more secure authentication. So we have selected three typical use cases for our session today, which we find it very, very important. I'm going to be taking Zoltan's help here because we see that Thales is helping multiple projects, particularly from the government side, from the healthcare side, and from the BFSI sector. So particularly when we are talking about government projects where sensitive information is the key, and they need to protect all kind of bad actors. And there are huge numbers when you're talking about government organizations. So how do we implement multi-factor authentication, particularly if they require a card which requires both physical and logical access? So in that case, how do we move forward? How do we actually help these kind of challenges by providing them a very concrete, robust MFA solution? Zoltan, can you explain how are you helping customers who are coming with these kind of requirements?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not necessary to mention how the government-related services and organizations need to protect their environment. And I fully agree with you. Most of the cases, they're not only looking for a logical, but for physical protection as well. So we work on the globe with multiple Ministry of Defenses, for instance, military or semi-military organizations. Those, beside needing, a logical access to their technical environment or their software environment, but at the same time they need physical access, so to protect, to minimize who can enter certain areas. And on top of that, what we also see very important for them is they use these smart cards as company badges, I have already mentioned, and we are the best providing the highest security in printing. And believe it or not, printing can be also security. If you look at a national ID or a driving license, there are at least 10 or 20 different secure elements on such kind of device. And this is the same level of protection we can provide on a corporate badge. How we can do that? We can, for instance, do some holographic or certain light condition visible printings, but at the same time, we can print a text on a secure badge that looks like a single line from a distance. But as you move closer, you realize it is basically a text printing. So it can be a name of the company or can be some secure information. So this kind of extra security that we can provide is very important for such kind of organization. So definitely we have very good projects around this topic.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, when we are talking about governments, we are also talking about the next area, which is becoming more of an interest, is the healthcare. Because yes, healthcare was more focused on holding on to the patient records, making sure that their information is sensitive so that it doesn't get stolen. But what we are now seeing is hospitals and hospital centers, or even hospital agencies, which are government, are trying to now protect those who are having access to these kind of records. So it becomes more and more important how we are going to actually help reduce these kind of phishing attacks who are working in these kind of organizations. So to reduce these cyber threats, Zoltan, can you explain how is Thales looking forward to these kind of collaborations with this particular sector?
Absolutely. We see in the news almost every year a big scandal that a healthcare institution is attacked, and their data are available only if they pay certain amount of money. Otherwise, they will either delete the customer data and the customer or the basically the healthcare customer personal information about their health, or they make it public, which is also very sensitive topic. So protecting healthcare information, first of all, is a very interesting, but at the same time a crucial, very crucial project. And what we also see in healthcare environments that sometimes they need some additional they have some additional expectations. For instance, if someone is working in a laboratory, they want to use the same device that they use in their office environment, but inside the laboratory they need to make sure that everything is sterile. And believe it or not, our smart cards can be sterilized. So without destroying the technology, you are able to make it sterile when you enter to such kind of area. So beside the protecting the customer has information, we are also able to give some extra protection when you are talking about physical virus protection. So it's not only the virus of the digital world, but virus of the physical bacteria world.
Thanks. That's very actually what do you say, makes me feel happy when you put it that way, Zoltan. And coming to the last business case, which I would say is becoming a bigger ask or a this is where a lot of noise is being made, particularly after Microsoft, as you rightly mentioned in one of your earlier slides, has said FIDO2 is the authentication to move forward with. And we've seen that a lot of organizations, particularly in the BFSI sector, who are trying to go through the cloud and planning to manage their applications with O365 and adopting O365. So when we are doing the shift, what are the key challenges that Thales is trying to address with these kind of organizations?
Yeah, what we see is that more and more these sectors are providing multiple technology solutions, although they are not necessarily technology companies. For instance, banks. Banks have a robust IT environment, a robust IT background, but it's still a bank. It's not a technical, not an IT company. So what they prefer to do, they prefer to release the system complexity. So they want to minimize the different solutions that they are using on a daily basis. And what we see that more and more they're looking for some robust solution that is able to provide protection not only for the employees but also for the end customers. And like we mentioned already, FIDO is giving the necessary level of protection not only for an enterprise environment, but also for the corporate world. So this is very interesting how we can merge the use cases and the user journeys into one single robust technical solution that these institutions are using very happily. And then again, system complexity is very important to release because that's how you can save cost and makes life easier.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Zoltan. We are actually coming to pretty much the end of our session, just 20 more minutes left. Um, um, so it's demo time, and I'm gonna request our colleague Rudy I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so that he can take over and showcase the demo.
Hi, everybody. So I've been introduced already. Thank you very much for all the presenters. So just before I dazzle you with the man in the middle attack or phishing simulation, I'm going to set the stage and show you one slide, which I find very important to show, just to literally to understand the phishing attacks, where they're coming from, why they're coming. So phishable credentials, obviously, this is a slide. It's got this quandrum. Obviously, you have security on the left and usability on the bottom, and we've seen this demonstrated by Zoltan before. And right at the bottom, for weak and poor, we've got the password. Obviously, passwords that are easily phishable. It's easily hacked because people, sometimes don't remember them. They're too small, easy to hack, easy to guess. Then you got on the next stage for security and usability would be OTP. So though they're more secure than password, they're still not as strong as, for example, likes of PKI, and Zoltan mentioned before, PKI is very strong, but for usability, it requires infrastructure, and it creates a lot of hurdles for the admin to manage the infrastructure and environment. And obviously, right on top is our FIDO alliance that we were talking about all this time. And obviously for the strength is the strongest authentication going, and for usability is one of the easiest one for the end users, and it uses the same asymmetric key technology, and obviously leveraging discoverable credentials for obviously a fast and streamlined access for the end users. So and then we've got this sort of square that I wanted to show you, and this is the area that has a potential weakness, in terms of man-in-the-middle attack, because these credentials here, password and OTP, are phishable. So that's why I wanted to set the stage, just to show you before I'm gonna introduce you to the simulation. So in the simulation, I'm just gonna show you a very simple flow here, and number one is, you could see everything is a typical user that accesses a cloud environment. In this obviously case, it's just a fakely generated website, but imagine this is a legitimate website. User signs in. Let me just show you this again with the username, and they obviously use the password. And then we got our typical OTP over there. It could be in a form of a hardware token, email. It could be your MS Authenticator. It could be your obviously OTP on your application on your phone.
I'm sorry, Rudy. I think I accidentally shared my screen. I think you need to share it again. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. Okay, that's fine. So let's log out again. So this is a typical environment where the user accesses the bank or any cloud environment. They type username, password, and they obviously copy the OTP into your OTP box. And we've seen this before thousands of times. And the user accesses the environment where they can actually then continue the work and through the day, and then they at the end of the day they log out. But all of a sudden they get this email sent to them, this lovely email, and it looks very legitimate. It looks like it comes from security bank, secure bank alert from a legitimate source. It looks like this actually employee exists. It's got the legitimate email address. The message is quite convincing, compelling. So it prompts the user to actually take some action and click. And this is where people get misled. They click on it, and it will redirect them to a different environment or different realm, I call it. So you could actually see on the right, if you go to URL, the bank has got two ends in it. And obviously a lot of people out there, the end users, they ignore that. They think it comes from a legitimate source. It's so mimicked the original website that is impossible for them to set that apart and tell the difference. So on the back end, of course, you've got a phishing proxy on the left, which is obviously controlled by a malicious party. And this malicious party guy, whoever that is actually now ready to capture the credentials from the end user directly into their environment dynamically as the customer or the end user types. So if I were to type, for example, Joe Doe, and I put secure bank, you can actually see that the credentials are being actually transferred across as we speak, and they can actually put the password in there and the username and password captures. And then obviously when they present it with the OTP, they copy into this box, but guess what? Equally transfers across to their environment. And it doesn't really matter how complicated the password or OTP is, they can literally just copy and paste these details into the original website and access the original website straight away with no complications. So whereas user think that they've done the job, they verify their credentials, they just click on sign in, they will get redirected to, oh, your credentials have been successfully verified, and they think, okay, I'm going to continue to work accessing my account, where they actually, once they've clicked, they get redirected to the original site, which they have obviously, bank with no double N, and they can access the environment. And this is how smooth and easy in the actual man-in-the-middle attack takes place. Of course, there's some back-end setup is required on the malicious party side to create this environment, but with the help of AI, it gets easier and easier. So how do we prevent this? How do we fight this phishing attack? So what I've done here is I've created another simulation that basically captures what would happen if you would introduce FIDO into this sort of environment and try to see if man in the middle can actually intercept FIDO, or they try to intercept FIDO. Yes, they can send you the same message. They can send you exactly the same content of the message, convincing you that this is all legitimate, and you still need to reset your credentials and you will still get redirected to the site. And for example, in this case, we're not using discoverable credentials. We use a M2F, which is you require username, password, and then you require FIDO, which is kind of old method. And yes, you can capture username, you can capture the password, and when you insert your FIDO, you can still capture PIN, believe it or not, with the phishing attack. But the problem is what happens next. Once the user enters the PIN and accesses the actual content of the token, it checks whether the user registered that FIDO with the original website, which is the secure bank with a single N. And as soon as it detects the wrong domain, it flags straight away and declines the authentication, basically by saying, look, you don't belong here. This is what you need to authenticate with to the original domain. So everything looks kind of like, so what can seem normal. So you got a branding the same, you got the login the same, you can see even the prompt the same. But what they can't do, as I said here, once you've entered the PIN, you cannot actually pass that, because you have to have the original domain. And that's the key information for FIDO. That's why it's so difficult to actually, if not impossible, to phish that, because the person needs to literally physically steal that device, know the PIN to be able to access it. Otherwise, you can't do it remotely that way. So what the ideal scenario, and this is what we promote heavily with Thales, and obviously Versasec is aware of that, is that we ideally want to have our customers' environment where you don't need to expose or use username. You don't need to type passwords. All you have to do, insert the FIDO into the device or put an NFC card against the card reader. And then all you have to do is just to type PIN in here and click OK, and you're in and you log in. So basically by doing this, you obviate the need of exposing your credentials, your password and whatsoever. And there's nothing for the hacker or the malicious party to capture. And this is another very quick example of for the users that for the users to access the environment without the PIN with the biometric. It's even more, because there's nothing to expose there, at all. And the biometric is very difficult to capture. So this is a little sort of presentation just to give you an idea of how robust the authentication flow is if you actually invest into FIDO in your environment, how difficult it is to hack. So I guess for me, that would be it, unless you have some questions later.
Okay, we can go to the last few slides of Paul. Basically, I think we only have one last slide, and we only have a couple of more minutes. So basically, what you see here is that we have a very good cooperation with Versasec, and we have all the necessary tools that you need to start to support us in this journey. And in case you have any question, definitely you will be able to reach us through the email that you use for registering to the system, or you can see it on the side. We already had one question in regards with the materials. I am working with, after this call, we will work together with my colleagues to figure out how we can share the materials we had today. So we are trying to figure out the easiest and the best way to share with you all the information that you have heard from us, including the contact details. So in case you need, you can contact. We also have an AI friend here, so welcome. In case you have any more questions, you can raise your voice and you can type it in the message. We still have 1 or 2 more minutes. But if you have any message or questions, we can answer them in email as well. Paul, would you like to give some extra closing message maybe?
Absolutely. I first thank Rudy for this wonderful demo. And yes, if you would like to show these kind of demos, the real life hacks which happens, along with how Thales can actually help protect organizations environment from these kind of malicious attacks, then we can definitely have a POC or have a discovery call with you with the customers whom you think, where we can promote a joint offering. So please do reach out to us. Please reach out to Zoltan if there is any other questions, because we didn't see any other questions apart from you would wanted the presentation materials. There's a lot when queries asked about FIDO, particularly because everybody now knows about FIDO. So please reach out to us when there are questions, and see how Thales and our V6 CMS solution collaboration can help organizations have a very robust and security posture environment built for them. So yes, thank you for joining today, and thanks Zoltan and thanks Rudy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Have a nice
everybody.
day.
Bye-bye.